Hey everyone, here's a not so quick video on how I installed my Propex heater in the Toyota Tacoma. It's integrated into these goose gear cabinets that I have, and the majority of the video is going to focus on how I did the plumbing, which is probably the most complicated part. I don't have a lot of video of how I mounted the Propex under the truck because that was done a long time before I even thought about doing a video. It's fairly straightforward with the cage that I built, which I'll show at the end of the video to sort of wrap things up. But the gist of it is I have it plumbed here in the cabinet with this directional airflow, so I can blow it towards the front, towards the top, towards the back. Well, I guess that's the back, that's the front, that's the back. The controls are right here so that it's easily accessible from the bed when it's deployed. And I made a 3D printed mount for the back of this that is not part of the video, but you can see that there. So that's just here for convenience, and this all gets plumbed to the rear. Hopefully you guys like this video. There's a couple things I got that I explained wrong. So the intake and outtake of the heater over there are backwards, but you'll see in the video that I connected it properly. And if there's any questions that you guys have, let me know. Otherwise, here's how I 3D printed these mounts and ran all the ducting for the Propex heater. All right, so here's some quick talk on the fittings that I 3D printed for the heater. So with the Propex heater, this is what it comes with. It's this has a thread here that kind of goes onto the hose, and then this, you basically just drill a hole that's the diameter of this black part right here, and this kind of gets sandwiched in between. The challenge that I've had with the truck is first of all, if I put these where the pipes are entering the cab, this will get terminated here, and the air basically won't get distributed into the camper like I wanted to. So this fitting didn't work too well for that. The second step was if I figured out a way to get it through the cab as a coupler, and get it through the cab as a coupler, and then from there, how was I going to get this out to a different source? So that was the first challenge, and this is what I came up with. So this is how do you pronounce this? It's Webasto. It's a Webasto fitting, and this is a bulkhead fitting. So the way that this guy works is that sorry, it's taking forever. So this guy comes with the part like this. So it's like a duct, basically like the other one. So it screws on. The hose comes in through here. This kind of clamps on through a bulkhead, and then you have this pivot for this mount. It's a little bit fancier than this one. That's simpler, but so I got this mount, and I needed to use this half to be able to get through the bed of the truck. So the hose was coming from the outside to here, and then from here I had to basically funnel it. So what I did is I 3D printed this part. This is kind of rough. I'm going to redo this in a carbon fiber impregnated material to give it some strength, but this is ABS. So it's two parts. And this has an elbow that swivels. So this guy goes in like that, and so from under the truck, Propex goes into here, and then from here I can put another hose and run that into whatever position I wanted in the truck. So that was step number one. So I got this all set up and this plumbed out. My next problem was the place where I want this thing to go is right next to my water tank. So the way that this runs, the hose, it runs directly into the water tank, which is like right in this area. So what I had to do is I had to make this part into like sort of like an elbow that kind of wrapped around the water tank. So that was the next challenge. So I 3D printed this part. So basically this sticks to the wall there on the cabinet. This kind of goes around the water tank, and then the hose connects to there. So it kind of gives me that little bypass that I need. From there, I had to figure out a way to mount this to the panel. So as you can see, I don't have a lot of room to thread something like this in there, because I pretty much only have about that much space. So what I did from there is I made a sandwich adapter. So this guy will come to the other end. I put these fittings, and these will clamp together. So I went through about 3 iterations. I tried the thinnest one as possible. Then I had to go a little bit thicker. And then I added this sort of gap, the spacer, so it centered around the hole. And what I did, just so it's backwards compatible, is the diameter of this hole is also the diameter that I need on this black piece. So if I ever want to revert back or use stock pieces, I can. So before this video gets too long, the next challenge was this. I wanted to use this vent so that I can direct the flow. So this thing, I can blow air this way or up or down, however. And I didn't want to 3D print this piece, so what I ended up doing was taking this piece that normally would bolt into your bulkhead like this through these screws. So I'm basically tossing this whole piece. And this piece didn't work because there wasn't enough distance, because this had a little overlap. That didn't work. This one ended up being too thick here, so I had to reduce that one a little bit there, and then I had to fine tune this ring that had a bevel. So I finally got this guy to snap right in like that, and it pivots. So I'm gonna have this guy from there and this guy coming out of the truck bed. So then it'll go, so this from here can connect to there, and I can plumb hot air throughout the whole camper. The last thing that I did was I 3D printed this, which is just basically a guide. So I can butt this up against the corner, I can start the drill, and then hog out the big piece. So these are the 3D printed pieces, and if you guys need any of these, I can 3D print them myself and sell them to you guys. But anyways, these were the biggest part of the project to get that going. Okay, so here is just a quick view of my limitation. This is my front runner 15-gallon tank, and here's where I want to plumb the heater outlet. So as you can see with the stock fitting, even if it's crammed all the way in the corner, it'll hit here when you try to bring the hose, and there's no way to kind of snake this around to get it to work. The other fitting is a little bit smaller, but it still gives me a little kink and a little rub right there. So that's why we have the elbow. Grab the screws a second. I'll grab those in a sec. So this guy, we're able to mount that like that, and then our tube goes in something like that. So we're able to bypass that completely and run it. So now we're going to remove the water tank and drill the hole out and install these fittings. All right, so here's the final install. Here's this all plugged in. So it's attached via the 4 holes like that. It's just clocked funny because that's where this kind of comes in to give me the most clearance, push it off as far as I can over to the wall. And then that guy just snaps right in so that I can direct the flow. I'll probably leave it like that just to push it out forward and out of the way. So there it is. It doesn't stick out too far out to the side. Say maybe it's about 3/8, so it's pretty flush. I'm not gonna knock it around. Yeah, so the next step is we are going to take out this cabinet, and then we are going to run the rest of the run the rest of the plumbing back down in there to the other 3D printed one. So that's coming up next. So here's the next step. These are the first prototype ducts that I printed, and I've been actually running these for a while. So these, this is my intake. So this sucks air in, down into the Propex, and then this is where my hot air comes out of. So we're gonna hook up a hose from here and run it all up against the wheel well to our new duct up there. So I got a new piece of hose. This is all I had left from the Propex. So that's all I had left. And then I got this, and for a while this is all I could find. So this is actually a Porsche part. So it's from, it says hot air hose engine compartment blower 60 millimeters. So putting in a Porsche part in a Toyota. So we'll run this guy through there and see how it goes. All right, and the final piece of the puzzle here is how the heater is mounted, how the hoses are run, and how my propane comes into the heater as well. So as we saw inside, we have the 3D printed fittings, and this might be a little tough to get, but let's see. So we have the hoses coming in down here through the cubby. I need to build some sort of a splash guard on these hoses, but they are designed to be externally mounted. So they're, or I'm assuming that they are water resistant. So far it's rained and I've had a little bit of mud on them and dirt and everything like that, so they've held up okay. So then these sort of just run over the frame rails in between the cab, goes over to the heater right over there. So we'll walk over and I'll show you that. So right here we have the Propex, which is mounted in a it's mounted on a custom box that I made, and this actually goes in and it ties into, let's see if I can get that in there, ties into the factory spare tire mount. So there's four holes up there. It mounts using the 4 holes up there from the spare tire mount, so it's nice and snug. It's not going to go anywhere. I made this one out of steel. I was going to make it out of aluminum to save weight, but I figured steel might give it a little bit more protection in case something happens. Here's your exhaust hose. It routes down off to the side on the shackle hanger, and then your intake hose comes up and over and does the same thing. This is the hard line that I've adapted to a quick disconnect, so that goes into the side of the heater. Then from here I just connect a rubber hose with the regulator to the propane tank, which is mounted right up there, so the hose can come down and it sits here. I need to make another cover for that guy, but that's just there so we don't get dirt or anything on there. It's a silicone cap, and it fits watertight on there, so nothing's going to get in or out. This is all my air stuff. My tank's mounted on there. That's what this little crossbar is for. And then here's the front of it. It's just got a splash guard to protect it. But that's pretty much it. This is how I have it mounted externally with a hard line. I might extend this hard line to have a T that goes into the camper for other propane accessories like a stove. But for the time being, this is just going to be a direct fit right there. So that's it. That's how I installed my Propex heater on my Toyota Tacoma. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And yeah, good luck putting your own in the truck. These things are awesome in terms of getting you to camp out in inclement weather, or if you just get a little cold front, keeps you nice and toasty. Take care.